In our previous lecture, we saw how to create a Moon project using moon-cli. We also saw how to run the same project, and over here we'll be explaining that a bit more in this one. So the dev command that we used was basically starting the webpack with live server reload. By live server reload, what I mean is when you make any changes to the files that we have over here, like home.js, index.js, or main.js, the changes will be reflected immediately. Now, on the other hand, you see a build script also. Now, this command will generate a production build of our application. So that is something which comes later when you are done with your application and you need to deploy it on the production environment. So that was a bit about the two commands that Moon offers. Now in this one, as promised, we will be exploring how to call APIs or REST-based APIs using Moon script. Now the first thing that we'll be doing over here is we'll be making use of a JSON placeholder, as this is a very good place to fake online REST API for testing and prototyping. Now if you see over here, it provides quite a lot of REST-based API calls. For instance, posts, comments, albums, photos, to-dos, users. We'll be exploring posts over here. So let's click on that and explore some. For instance, you can see post ID 1 will return this title and body. Similarly, post ID 2 will return this title and body. Now in order to ensure that your application is able to do these calls, we need to include in our main.js, where we are calling this moon.use, we'll also have to include HTTP, that is moon.http.driver. Now, once you have done that, in your moon.run method, you can see that we are saying that the first post that we want is with ID 1, and we are making use of the GET request to do that. Inside it, you can see that we are making HTTP call. So the HTTP is an equivalent, if you are coming from jQuery background, as AJAX call. You specify the method as GET, then you specify the URL over here, and then you specify the headers as well. Now headers, as you can see, is application/JSON. Once you have the data, we have onload event for that, and the response will be available over here. Now that data is a collection basically, so we are storing it over here as HTTP body. The post count is already passed, and the whole data that we have received using this is being passed over here in our view.home component. So in our previous lecture, when we created the dummy application, the structure was already provided to us. I have just reutilized the same. So here in our home.js method, if we go now, all I've done is I've included a small div section, and I've created a custom component called post. You can see that I'm importing that from view/components/post. So this post that we have created resides inside the components post directory. So here you can see index.js is the file name, and here we are making use of div h2p and button. Let's comment this first, and here you can see whatever data we are passing, that gets over here as a parameter, and then we are generating this output. So we are saying this is the title, this is the body, and then we are having this fetch post event getting called at the click of the button, and we are just incrementing the counter value by 1, so that next time you click, you get a new post. Now you also see some styling over here, but I've not included that as of now, just to concentrate on the functional aspect of the things that we're trying to cover. Once you have created this, on click of the post button, you can go over here inside fetch post. Here you can see again we are having moon.run method. This time we are initializing the post count variable by adding 1 to the previous one. So here you can see data.postCount is being incremented by 1. Now how this is being sent, if you remember, in our main.js, this is the post count that we are passing as part of the data. So data.postCount is then being used inside index.js inside the components post directory, and that way we are incrementing the value of the post count. Once that's done, the rest of the stuff remains the same. You can see that we're calling the same URL, everything is same, and here we are returning the data. This time you can see we're just calling post data response. So we're calling the post method here. Now once that's done, you can go to terminal, and here you can just start the application again by running npm run dev. And once your application is launched, you can see the first post is coming over here, as you can compare it from this. And then if I go ahead and click on fetch post 2, it is going to render the second post. So that's the title and then the body. That is what is appearing over here. Now some of the other stuff that we'll be covering in upcoming lectures are route, storage, and time drivers provided by Moon.